Welcome into the Snapped podcast. My name is Tyler Kluber, and I'm a former Division I athlete turned entrepreneur. I run my own fitness and nutrition coaching business, as well as a sports media brand that produces podcasts, sells merchandise, and creates exclusive paid content. The fun part is I don't really know what I'm doing as a business owner. I'm just figuring it out day by day. This show, Snapped, acts as an audio journal for my thoughts and ideas on fitness, health, business, mindset, and whatever else I find important on the pursuit to personal happiness and a balanced life. I hope you can take something from the show that makes your life a little bit better. And regardless, I'm just happy you're here. Let's have a day. Let's go. I am happy to be here. It was an interesting weekend for me. Welcome into the Snap podcast for your quarterfinals recap. And right off the bat, I'll just say your boy is happy. Your boy's happy with the results. We'll go over them here in a second. I'm extremely happy, and I have to be extremely happy even more so because of the circumstances, which I have honestly forgotten about over the last week. When you get into competitive mode, when you decide to toe the line or you decide to enter a ball game or a competition or something that is scored, there's a leaderboard, there is a winner and a loser. If you're a competitor, you kind of forget you forget about the excuses. And that is certainly the mode that I have been in the last, let's call it 5 days. Basically Thursday through yesterday, Monday. I'm recording this on Tuesday, the 23rd. It'll come out tomorrow on Wednesday, the 24th. Quarterfinals weekend. That's a wrap, 2024. And my season has ended again. This is the fourth year that quarterfinals has been implemented. So the fourth year that somebody like me has another round of competition to do in the season after the open, the quarters. Now people will move on to the semis and then eventually the games. Before that, it was just the open and then regionals, straight to regionals, which is now called semifinals, and then to the games. There's only 3 spots. We'll talk about regionals here in a second too, back in the good old day, because they would be relevant. If we could scroll the clock back about 10 years and retain our fitness in that time warp, your boy would be moving on. But let's talk about it. The workouts came out last week. If you haven't, you can go back and watch that video. You can actually see me predict real time. I'm literally reading the workouts off the screen as they came out minutes before and giving my first thought impressions. Now, generally, I'm pretty good at guessing what the best in the sport are capable of doing, and that really showed through, actually, if you dissect my predictions a little bit. I got my math, trying to do it real time, I got my math mixed up on one and was just wildly off. And we'll talk, we'll go over that in a second. But what we're gonna do on this podcast is we're gonna quickly recap those workouts and what the best times were, best scores were. And then we'll go back through what I did on those workouts, what I thought I could do versus what I actually did, and where that landed me. And then where that landing spot compares to the previous couple years of quarterfinals. Am I getting better at this sport? Am I wasting my fucking time? That's the big question here. Am I just wasting my fucking time? I would argue no, generally, even if the sport, if nothing ever happened in the sport again, right? And the sport was just canceled and CrossFit was just down to its own methodology and health and fitness routine, I would say I'm not wasting my time because I'm an extremely fit human, an extremely capable human. I am strong. I have a multitude of skills and capabilities, and I'm a physically fortified individual. And I think that's a really, really important thing to be in life. Nonetheless, this sport is a thing, and so we'll talk about it. Workout 1 was again, and we'll just share the screen actually. Workout 1 was 4 rounds. I can't make it any bigger because I don't know how. 4 rounds for max reps. So your score is just the max reps you can accumulate through this. 1 minute of max snatches at 135 pounds, 1 minute of rowing for calories, 1 minute of dumbbell box step ups, and your fourth minute you got to rest. I said initially that this was going to be an interesting workout because they've never done something like this where you just get the, hey, go for as many reps as you can. Usually there's a set amount of reps, or at least a set amount of reps per round, and then you do as many rounds as you can. But this kind of workout affords a person an opportunity to really game it, and that's kind of what we saw here. I won't go too deep into it, but you got people who are better at snatches or better at rowing. They're really big and they're better at rowing. Maybe some people that are just have a lot of capacity on dumbbell step ups, and you got people who got to choose where they could pick their spot. For me, sort of and it's a common theme here. I'm kind of just about as good as I am at one thing as I am at other things. So it was just like, hey, find a decently high capacity on each of these minutes and try and maintain that over the course of the 4 rounds. I will say the 1 minute of rest at the end of the box step ups actually did really help. Like, especially for the first 2 rounds, it definitely reset you. It felt like that rest got a little bit shorter on the third and fourth round, but it meant something. Not only for your heart rate to come down a little bit, especially because the dumbbell box step ups really got you going. You could come out of that and then kind of, I would say the snatches were the most gamed part of the workout. I even had a couple friends, buddies who just did like a few reps in that minute and you almost used it as another resting minute so that they could hammer the rower. My estimate on this was that the best scores in the world were going to be between 230 and 250 reps, and I was spot fucking on. I mean, I couldn't have been more on. The very, very best, I think there was maybe 10 people in the world that went above 250. Best score was 260. But the majority of even the elites, the people you will see move on to the next round, got around that 230 to 250 range. Training partner Cole got 226, which is awesome. That helped him a ton on leaderboards. Your boy thought that I could hold 22 calories a minute, about 10 snatches, and then maybe 20 box step ups, which would have afforded you, if you times all those by 4, that would be 80, 88, and 40. That would give you a score of 208. My final score on this workout, 207. And I wasn't even thinking about that prediction while I was doing it. It didn't look exactly like that. I actually went 12, 12, 11, 11 on snatches. My row cals went 23, 22, 22, 23. And then I was a little bit less on the box step ups. I was closer to like an average of 17 or 18 on the box step ups. We'll go over, well, no, we'll just touch on that now. That workout specifically, gave me a 153rd in the region. And when we talk about scoring wise, uh, what's where I rank relative to my region is what matters, because you are judged within your region on then moving on to that regional. So, in the world, I took a larger placement on this, but the world placement doesn't matter. It's about who's in your regional. So I was 153rd in the region on this with 207 reps, and this is probably the one I have the most, not regret, but in a situation where potentially next year, even with how well I did this year, we're going to be in a spot where this is certainly one that we'll redo, and that is because not only was it the most strategic, like you could do it again and get 10% better if you just had a better strategy. Um, but it wasn't also something that would beat the crap out of your body. I think if I do this workout again, I get at least 10 more reps, and 10 more reps on this workout would have given me another 100 places on the leaderboard. I could probably scroll here and find it quick. If I would have gotten 217 instead of 207, yeah, I mean, we're looking at 90 points. Instead of 153rd, I would have gotten something like 60th, 65th in the region. And that would have mattered a lot, especially when we go over what the average workout placement finish would be to qualify, kind of move on to that next spot, that would have been huge. It's good to know that I'm capable of 10 more reps, and that would have given me that spot. But nonetheless, I didn't redo it. I didn't prove that I could do that. And so on the leaderboard, I got 153rd. We'll go to the next workout. Second workout, you go back and rewatch that video. I knew this was going to be brutal. It absolutely was. It was the worst workout to do physically for everyone over the course of this quarterfinals weekend. I got my math wrong here when I was doing the math. I only calculated. I was like, well, it'll take about 4 seconds a burpee for the very best, and somehow that gave me. I was like, yeah, I think people will finish this in like 9 minutes. The best people in the world finished this in 15 minutes. But I was also calculating off of basically a 5-minute Karen broken up, which is 150 wall balls by itself. And then a one round of 4 would be about 4 minutes for your burpees. So if you give me another 8 minutes on top of on top of the 8 to 9 minutes that I guessed, that puts you right in that 16-minute range, which again was exactly where all the elites were. You could even be like in the high 17s, low 18s and have done enough to get you onto the next level here. So once again, my math and kind of guesstimate was correct. I just sounded like an idiot when I did quick mental math wrong on the show. This was brutal. Go and do 150 wall ball shots by yourself and see how long that takes you. Go and do 150 lateral burpee box jump overs at 24 inches and see how long that takes you. Now go back and forth as fast as you can, trying to finish within the 20-minute time frame. It's absolutely brutal. It hurts like a son of a bitch. Your legs are absolutely on fire. And while this is where I have a lot of room to improve, I feel like, although my placement relative to, again, where it put me in the region is really not that big of a deal. I don't think there's a more consistent CrossFitter in the fucking world than your guy right here, by the way. Most people across these 4 tests, they'll have one that's really good. They'll get, 100th, and then they'll have another one that's like, oh, I got 400th, or, we'll go over my last year's in a second. 2 years ago in a second, I had these massive discrepancies. Man, my workout placings were 153rd, 157th, 166th, and 164th. I had a 9 placement spread across 4 different workouts that are testing so many different things. Just consistent as hell, which is good. And that, that kind of tells me what I need to get better on. And that's just everything. Everything needs to improve by just a little bit. The workout was brutal. It took me 19 minutes and 23 seconds. I ended up doing this one on Saturday. The way I forgot to mention, the way that I went about this was Thursday. We kicked it off. Me and Cole at the gym decided to do the clean and jerk one, which is number 4. We'll go over here in a second. We thought, hey, let's do the power one first. I got 14. We'll go over it, but I ended up redoing that workout. That was the only one I redid. Hit number 1 on Friday, hit number 2 on Saturday, because those 2 were due Saturday night. Took Sunday off, came in Monday, yesterday, and hit number 3 in the gym, and then rested, ate some lunch, and Monday afternoon, I hit number 4 again to get a better score, because I knew I left some on the table there as well. So that's how my weekend went. Doing this workout specifically by yourself in a 48 degree, I don't even think it was 48. It might have been 44 degrees in my garage, cloudy day, just chipping away at burpees by yourself. It was not the move, quite honestly. And again, no excuses, but if I, it was just the way it worked out. But if I had someone to go next to, it was this workout where I wanted that. I wanted an environment where people could cheer me on. I wanted an environment where someone could get in my ear when I started to look shitty, and someone, hey, pick it the fuck up. Let's go. Come on, get on it. Didn't have that. 1923, good for 157th in the region. And that's about where I'm at on that one. I actually think that because it was nice and cool out and I had the garage door open, it helped keep my body temp down a little bit, which is good for very long aerobic workouts. I don't know if I get much faster than that one, to be quite honest. Maybe I can push the 19-minute mark, but even if I rip let's see if I can find like close to a 19 even score here. Even if I take 20 seconds off of that, it gives me about 30 places, and it wouldn't have been a huge deal. There was no way I was redoing that one. It beat me up the most by far. Tons of squat volume, tons of pressing volume, pressing off the ground, pressing the wall ball overhead. It was absolutely brutal. I don't even suggest going and trying that workout. Workout number 3. This is the one that I thought was really fun. It was strictly gymnastics capacity, which I have been working on. In the dark over the past 3 months, I told myself that I needed to go into the gym, not just train at the garage, but go into the gym once a week at least. And it actually ended up turning into twice a week for the last month or so. I needed to work on my ring muscle ups. I needed to work on my rope climbs because they're going to show up in quarterfinals. And I cannot have happen to me what happened last year. We'll touch on that in a second. But I was very, very proud of what I was able to put out on this. Now, I guessed in my, once again, kind of went 3 for 3 here. I guessed in my preview video, my reaction video, that the best in the world were going to go somewhere around potentially sub 7, definitely sub 8. Once again, right on the nose. Right on the freaking nose. The best scores in the world here were in that 7 to 8 minute range. A lot of very, very, very good people in the 8 to 9 minute range. And then, onward from there. I was off on this for sure. Initially, I thought that maybe I could go sub 10 minutes here. Sometimes when you look at a workout initially and then you kind of actually start to play it out with what your ability is, things don't quite match up. And I was a couple minutes off. I was able to go sub 12. I turned in a score of 11:48. Took me 11 minutes and 48 seconds to do 3 rounds of 10 handstand push-ups and 20 toes to bar, into 2 rounds of 10 strict handstand push-ups and 5 rope climbs, into one final round of 10 wall-facing handstand push-ups and 20 ring muscle-ups. Those 20 ring muscle-ups really being the killer there. I finished all of this work, if you're watching the YouTube, all the way up until that last set of 20 ring muscle-ups in about 7:45, 7:48, and then it took me 3 minutes. No, it took me 4 minutes to do 20 muscle ups, basically 5 a minute. I mean, maybe 3.5 minutes to do 20 muscle ups. So we know where we have to get better. However, we murdered the rope climbs. The rope climbs were an absolute non-factor, all the way to the point where I think I actually should have pushed them maybe 10 or 15 seconds faster a set, which would have been about 3 seconds per rope climb. I should have jumped up earlier. It would have saved me 30 seconds. I wouldn't have been any worse for wear getting to the muscle ups, and that would have brought my time down from an 11:48 to, hey, maybe I'm pushing for that 11-minute mark. But once I saw other people do this workout, once I heard a couple of the buddies, training partners I have that I compare scores with do this workout, and I started to do the math in my head, I came up with a plan, and I've never executed a plan as perfectly to my ability, pushing the line of what I'm capable of, but not blowing up, that I have with this workout. And I was so stoked. This is the one I'm proud of by far the most, because I've been working on rope climbs, I've been working on ring muscle ups, and they didn't murder me in this. This would normally be my outlier finish, and it is my worst finish, but barely, right? 166th. So 153rd, 157th. This one was 166th with an 11:48, but I'm proud as shit. Proud as shit of that. And then finally, we have workout 4, which looked to be maybe the best for me initially. I thought, oh, this will be the heavy one. Maybe I'll have my best. Maybe this one can be the outlier in a good way. Generally, when it's heavier in quarterfinals, I can get some spots back there. Wasn't the case. I actually took a 164th in the region. On this, it was 10 clean and jerks at 135, rest a minute. 10 clean and jerks at 185, rest a minute. 10 clean and jerks at 225, rest a minute. And then whatever time you have left after that, back and forth in a 10-minute window, do as many clean and jerk reps as you can with 245 pounds. I said in the preview video that the best score, if you go and listen, after I kind of go back and forth with myself, I'm like, oh, the best score on this is going to be about probably like 37 reps at the final weight. 37 reps at the final weight, which would be a total score of 67. Best score in the world, 69. 69. I was right there. I was like, I think people are the best in the world are going to get 40 reps at this. And sure enough, they're right there. So I'm really happy. Not that it matters at all, but I'm really happy with how my ability to like guess how great people will do at this. I will say with me getting better and better, my predictions are starting to be a little bit harder because I sort of go off of my ability as well. And then I know my gap between me and the best. Well, that gap has shortened. And so now what I'm guessing I can do and what I'm guessing the best can do is starting to get a little closer. And sometimes I underestimate that. Won't be doing that anymore. Again, I took a 164th on this. I ended up getting 17 reps at the final weight. I had about 4 minutes and 40 seconds to work on the 245 bar. That comes out to about a rep every 12 seconds. If you're doing the math there, that's pretty good. The best in the world, though, again, getting upwards of 20 more reps than me on that. And, those guys were getting an extra 20 seconds to begin with. And then they're able to rip, reps every 9 or 10 seconds for 5 minutes. And that just adds up over time. And then they can really hammer it at the end as well. So I'm happy with it. I'm happy with that score. I'm so goddamn consistent, basically right around 160th place on all 4 of these workouts. My total placement points was 640. You divide those by 4 tests, it's exactly 160. And that was good enough for, drum roll please, 500, and this will actually get a little bit better. My placing, I'll probably move up a few spots here after some of the people who are in contention to go have video review. They get their scores knocked back, all these things. They decline all this stuff. I finished 569th in the world in the CrossFit quarterfinals. And in the North America West region, there's a North America East and North America West, where they take 40 spots to the to the semifinals. I finished 81st. 81st out of, let's call it 4,000 people. About. I'm on page 2. There's 50 people a page. And, as you scroll back through these leaderboards over the years, as I'm a fan of CrossFit and I'm checking the leaderboards, I'm like, oh, who's going to make it? Who's just being a fan? Just like, oh, who am I going to get to watch? The first couple pages are always with people of names that matter, names of people who are fit as hell. And this year I find myself on page 2. I'm 81st. 40 guys get to go. I basically made the next 40. And a couple of those guys' scores, I'm sure, will be invalidated. A couple of those guys won't go, whatever. So they'll probably take out to 45th or 50th. I'm 35, 40 spots away from a very, very close chance to go to a semifinal, an in-person where they make you a nameplate and you're on the freaking broadcast. And it's like, it's legit. You are someone if you make it to a semifinal in this sport. And it hurts even a little bit more because they change they change this all the time. Just last year, the last couple years, you just had to make the top 60. The top 60, 120 people went the last 2 years. So if I was this fit last year and then a couple people decline or drop out or their scores were actually phony or their video review gets them a penalty, they're reaching back to that 70 range, maybe 75. Your boy's in 81st. I'm fucking close, boys and girls. And I'm fired up about it. Relative to my scores in the world, let's take a look at that over the last couple years. Again, if you listen to my quarterfinal preview episode before all this went down a couple weeks ago, I was not able to compete in the first year quarterfinals. I had a cracked rib, and my fitness wasn't where it needed to be anyway. In 2022, I was able to compete in the quarterfinals, and I got 733rd in the world, 349th in North America. They had not split North America into two spots yet. Basically, you split that number in half now, and that's what would compare to these in 2023, 2024. 24, these are after the first two scores were in. So these both went up a few spots, up about 100, up about 26 after the second, third, and fourth scores were in. So 349th, cut that in two, you're looking at 175th-ish, but also the North America West is a weaker region. So you can basically equivalate, I don't think that's a word, 22 to 23. I was about 200th or 215th, top 200 in the region. Worldwide score was interesting last year. I like almost doubled in worldwide score, even though it was about the same within the region. I went all the way back to I wasn't even top 1,300. But this year, when it's all said and done, these two scores right here, this will say 550th or so, and this is going to say probably something in the 70s, 78th, 79th. And God damn it, I'm close. I know this is a long podcast, but I'm fired up. How close? How close am I? What do I need to do to maybe get there? Well, the average workout placement in your region is what matters, right? So if I share the screen here, if I just go to the quarterfinals leaderboard, God damn it, quarterfinals leaderboard for the North America West, and I come down here to the top 40. Let's say you need to make the top 40 just to be safe, because you never know. Maybe everybody in the top 40 does get there, right? So to be safe, you got to have 327 total points. Divide that by your 4 scores, and that's what your average placement has to be. So in this case, 330 divided by 4, that's about 82. You got to place 82nd as your average placement. My average placement this year was 160th. So sure, I've got a lot of work to do there, right? I basically have to cut my average placement in half. Now, you could probably play a game where, hey, let's say maybe the top 50 will have a chance. Well, that opens things up, because now your average placement there is about 110th. Still got a long ways to go. I have 160th average placement, and I need to be up around 100. Let's call it 100. 400 might get you there. So I got a lot of work to do. But damn, I feel like I'm close. Another year of engine work, zone 2. Another year of muscle ups and rope climbs. Throwing some other stuff that I got lucky. I know I got lucky this year with the programming. I will put my hand up and say that. It could have been worse. Some things could have come out. Deadlifts, crossover, double unders, some other stuff, handstand walking with pirouettes, maybe some other cheeky stuff that who knows. But boys, I'm close. I'm fucking page 2, guys. Like page 2. Shout out to I'm right here in 81st. Shout out to Tyler Lloyd. He's one of the boys at the gym. He's in 88th. I'm right there. I'm competitive. I'm starting to play with the big dogs here. And it's taken me a while. I started doing competitive CrossFit programming training every day in the fall of 2021. After I had missed that quarterfinals and I was hurt and I wasn't able to do it, I had a fire. I'm like, hey, 2022 quarterfinals, we're going to see what we can do. And now, we're 2.5 years into actually training competitive CrossFit. And I've made some leaps. And I have a fire in me to now go after it even harder next year. So we'll see what happens. I the next podcast you hear is going to be, hey, what's next? And it's largely going to be me talking about the last 6 weeks of my running program. Oh, by the way, I was doing a fucking half marathon program while I was training for quarterfinals. Oh, by the way, I've been hurt 3 times in the past year. They better hope that the boy doesn't have a healthy year of training. That's all I have to say. I'm going to take 6 weeks off of competitive CrossFit stuff. I might hit a couple of these skills once a week. We're not going to do any Metcons. We're going to lift and hit some skill work, maybe some EMOMs. But most of my training, most of my energy, time, focus is going to be put into running my ass off to try and run a sub 140 a half marathon, 7:38 pace. We're feeling pretty good right now. We're right in the middle of it. We're just on the backside of the training plan. But when that 6 weeks is over, we're going to sort of reassess. We're going to sit down. We're going to make sure that I write out all the things I need to do to attack my biggest weaknesses. And we're going to put a plan together that I can execute on for the next year. And we're going to see. We're going to see where the chips fall. Really excited. Really excited with the progress. And it's unfortunate because I wish I would have started about 3 years earlier, right? I was still trying to figure out my job and what I do to make money. And if I would have started in 2018 training this way every day instead of 2021, I have no doubt that I'd probably be I probably would have made a semifinal already, trying to make my second or third in a row. But we are where we are. I'm as old. I'm the age that I am. 29 this year. I will be 30 in the next CrossFit competitive season. Not old by any means. Old is, in 2 or 3 years. But I've got a window right now in the next 2 to 3 years to push this forward. And, at 35, you're a master. And for good reason, because unless you're one of just the absolute outliers, it's almost impossible to start competing and stay up at the top of the leaderboard. But for the next, till I'm 32, I got about 3 years of competitive training left. 33 maybe. Who knows? My training age is later. I started later. So a lot of these guys have been in it and kind of washed out or gotten, out of the competitive scene. I might have 3 or 4 years to attempt to make a semifinal here. And my fire burns bright, if you know what I'm saying. So there it is. Your boy. See if I can get back to it here. My competitive dashboard on the CrossFit Games website. This will update, but I'm gonna have a top 100 finish, maybe a top 80 finish in the region, and I'm proud of that. We're getting better. We're coming. TKG training. Hit me up, tylerkluver.com, Tyler Kluver on the socials if you want to. I write programs for people, and it's not CrossFit. Like, I'll just write you your exercise program. You don't have to do CrossFit. We can do whatever you want. I want to help you get fitter. I want to help you live healthier. The excuses aren't valid. You got to find a way to get it done. Be a savage. See you next time.